The sea was beautiful and merciless. For every chest of gold stolen, there was another filled with rot, blood, and pain. Pirates lived in a world where one splinter could turn into death, one cut could mean gangrene, and one wrong storm could strand them weeks away from help. Yet somehow they survived. They didn't have surgeons, hospitals, or medicine. What they had instead was knowledge, raw, desperate, passed down through pain and blood. The floating hell, life and death on deck. Imagine the stench of the lower deck: wet wood, sweat, gunpowder, and decay. Men coughed in their hammocks, rats scurried over limbs, and the ocean salt ate into every wound like fire. There were no doctors. The ship's surgeon was often a carpenter with a saw and a bottle of rum. If a pirate lost a leg in battle, that man would hold him down, heat a blade in the fire, and slice, clean through the bone. No anesthesia, no mercy. Only a prayer whispered between screams. But here's the secret: pirates learned to heal themselves, because no one else would. Rum, the painkiller of the sea. Every pirate's cure started with rum. Not for celebration, but for survival. They poured it into wounds to kill infection, drank it to numb pain before surgery, and mixed it with herbs to make crude medicine. Rum was antiseptic, sedative, and courage in a bottle. It was their anesthesia before amputations, and their peace after. But even rum couldn't fix everything. Pirates soon learned to combine sea herbs, tropical plants, and strange jungle roots to create powerful natural remedies. Nature, the forgotten doctor. In the Caribbean, pirates raided not only ships, but knowledge. From indigenous tribes and runaway slaves, they learned which plants could stop bleeding, which roots reduced fever, and which leaves drew out poison. They used crushed garlic for infections, aloe for burns, and chewed tobacco leaves to close wounds. Seaweed was boiled into broths to fight scurvy, not because they knew about vitamin C, but because they saw it worked. To pirates, every island was a pharmacy. Every plant was a gamble between healing and death. Scurvy, the curse that ate men alive. Scurvy was the most feared disease of all, the real monster of the sea. It didn't strike fast like a cannonball. It crept. Gums bulled, teeth fell out, wounds reopened, skin turned black, and madness followed. Entire crews died slowly, screaming for fruit they hadn't tasted in months. But pirates, unlike Navy sailors, had an advantage. Because they raided merchant ships carrying fresh produce and tropical goods, they often got their hands on citrus. Limes, oranges, even fermented fruits. These small treasures saved lives. Pirates didn't know why it worked, but they called it sour gold. And when you saw a captain carrying barrels of limes, it wasn't for drink. It was to keep his crew from falling apart. The surgeon's tools of terror. Inside every pirate ship, there was a small chest, not for treasure, but for tools. Rusty saws, bone hooks, needles blackened from fire. They used them to cut, sew, and scrape life back into dying bodies. The bravest, or perhaps the most desperate, pirates volunteered to learn crude surgery. They stitched up wounds with sail thread, cauterized arteries with heated iron, and used maggots to clean infected flesh. Yes, maggots. They learned that the little creatures ate dead tissue, leaving the living flesh untouched. It was gruesome, but it worked. The pirate way was never pretty, it was effective. Blood, sweat, and brotherhood. But what truly kept pirates alive wasn't medicine, it was each other. Unlike naval crews, pirates took care of their wounded. They shared plunder equally and supported those who lost limbs in battle. If a man lost his hand, he received extra gold from the loot. If he couldn't fight, he cooked, navigated, or kept watch. No man was left to die alone. This was more than survival. It was loyalty turned into medicine, a bond stronger than any Royal Navy could understand. Tattoos and superstition. Pirates also believed in charms and markings for protection. A tattoo of the cross, a mermaid, or an anchor was said to guard a man from death at sea. Some even tattooed the words "hold fast" across their knuckles, a promise to never let go, even if the ocean tried to drag them down. Others wore tiny bones or shark teeth, believing they held power to ward off infection and evil spirits. To them, faith and fear were both part of healing. The price of pain, but not every story ended with recovery. Many pirates bowled out quietly under the stars, wrapped in a canvas sail, their bodies dropped into the deep. And yet, they faced death differently. They had already accepted that every voyage was borrowed time. Their medicine was never meant to cheat death, only to delay it long enough for one more raid, one more sunrise, one more gulp of freedom. Because to a pirate, living was never about safety. It was about defying the odds, again and again, with nothing but courage, rum, and scars. The hidden legacy of pirate medicine centuries later, historians discovered that many of these crude methods actually worked. Rum as disinfectant, lime juice for scurvy, maggots for cleaning wounds, all later confirmed by modern science. What began as desperation became discovery. Pirates, in their chaos and cruelty, had stumbled upon truths about healing that medicine wouldn't officially recognize for another 100 years. So when we picture them, scared, drunk, wild, we forget they were also survivors. Men who learned more about the human body than any book could teach. The final lesson of the sea: there's a strange poetry in how pirates treated wounds. They stole, they killed, they terrified nations, and yet, when one of their own fell bleeding on the deck, everything stopped. The same men who had set cities aflame would tear strips from their shirts to bandage a friend. They'd eat a knife in silence, pour rum into a wound, and whisper, "Hold fast, brother." That moment, that quiet moment in the chaos, revealed something rare. Pirates weren't just criminals. They were men who had chosen exile from a world that had already condemned them. Their healing wasn't science, it was compassion born in hell. The sea as a teacher. The ocean taught them everything, not through kindness, but cruelty. It showed them that pain was constant, that every storm demanded a price, and that survival depended not on strength alone, but on knowledge. Every pirate became a student of the sea, watching how salt water cleaned wounds, how wind carried infection, how nature balanced life and decay. When a ship was lost, its medicine chest became legend. Some captains were said to carry black elixirs, tonics brewed with tobacco, sulfur, and strange roots stolen from native healers. Others claimed to possess charms that could stop fever or heal burns overnight. Of course, most of these stories were lies, but some weren't. The unwritten code. Every pirate crew had rules, not just for gold, but for care. If you were sick, you were fed first. If you lost a limb, you were compensated. If you died, your share went to your kin. It was a kind of medicine of honor, built on the belief that every man deserved dignity, even in ruin. That was the real secret behind the pirate medicine chest. Not herbs or rum or steel, but empathy. A strange, brutal, beautiful empathy. The immortality of scars. Centuries have passed, yet the lessons of those decks remain. The same principles pirates discovered in desperation: disinfecting with alcohol, using maggots to clean wounds, fighting scurvy with citrus, became the roots of modern medicine. Science refined what pirates learned by instinct. But the deeper truth lives elsewhere, in their scars, in the proof that even the most lawless men could teach civilization something about humanity, that survival requires both courage and care. When you imagine a pirate standing beneath the blood-red sunset, a blade in one hand and a bandage in the other, remember this: he didn't need a doctor to stay alive. He only needed the will to keep fighting the sea and the heart to keep saving his own.